Hey, ghost hunters and thrill seekers, welcome back. Tonight, we're diving deep into the kind of story that makes you double check your locks and maybe keep an extra light on. This isn't your run of the mill campfire tale. This is about something that happened to a friend of a friend, someone who swore on their life that every word was true. Buckle up, you're in for a ride. It all started in Blackwood Forest. Now, Blackwood wasn't just any forest. It was ancient, sprawling, and steeped in a history that locals whispered about but rarely explored. The trees were so tall that sunlight struggled to reach the forest floor, creating a perpetual twilight that played tricks on your eyes. Our protagonist, let's call him Mark, was an avid hiker. He loved the solitude, the challenge, and the raw, untamed beauty of nature. Blackwood was his ultimate test. One autumn, Mark decided to spend a week backpacking to Blackwood. He was well prepared, with maps, compass, and enough supplies to last him. The first few days were uneventful. He navigated the winding trails, marveled at the towering trees, and enjoyed the crisp, clean air. But as he ventured deeper, a sense of unease began to settle in. It was subtle at first, a feeling of being watched, the rustling of leaves when there was no wind, shadows that seemed to linger a moment too long. On the fourth day, Mark reached a part of the forest that felt different. The trees were denser here, their branches gnarled and twisted like skeletal arms. The air grew heavy, and an unnatural silence fell, as if even the birds had abandoned this place. As dusk approached, Mark decided to set up camp near a creek. He pitched his tent, started a small fire, and cooked a simple meal. As he sat by the fire, the feeling of being watched intensified. He scanned the surrounding woods, but saw nothing. Just my imagination, he muttered to himself. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something was out there, lurking in the shadows. Then he saw them. At the edge of the firelight, just beyond the tree line, were 2 points of light. At first, he thought they were reflections, but as he watched, they shifted, moved, and blinked. Eyes, two glowing eyes staring directly at him from the darkness. Mark froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He grabbed his flashlight and shone it towards the eyes, but they vanished instantly. He swept the beam back and forth, searching, but there was nothing there. What was that? He whispered, his voice trembling. He told himself it must have been an animal, a deer, a fox, something harmless. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. There was something unnatural about those eyes, something malevolent. He stoked the fire, trying to keep the darkness at bay. He couldn't shake the image of those eyes from his mind. They were like burning coals, filled with an ancient, cold intelligence. He stayed up late into the night, feeding the fire and listening to every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves. Sleep was impossible. As the first hint of dawn touched the sky, Mark decided he had to get out of there. He quickly packed up his camp, his hands shaking with adrenaline. He didn't bother with breakfast. He just wanted to put as much distance as possible between himself and those eyes. He started hiking, moving as fast as he could through the dense forest. The feeling of being watched persisted, even in the growing daylight. He kept glancing over his shoulder, half expecting to see those eyes again. Then he heard it. A soft, rhythmic sound, like footsteps following him through the trees. He stopped and listened, his breath held tight in his chest. The footsteps stopped too. He started walking again, faster this time, and the footsteps resumed, matching his pace. Panic set in. He broke into a run, crashing through the undergrowth, desperate to escape whatever was pursuing him. But the footsteps kept pace, always just behind him, never getting closer, never falling behind. He ran for what felt like hours, his lungs burning, his legs aching, his mind racing. Finally, he stumbled out of the dense woods and onto a familiar trail. He didn't stop running until he reached his car, parked miles away at the forest's edge. He didn't look back. Mark never returned to Blackwood Forest. He tried to explain what he saw and heard, but no one believed him. They said it was his imagination, stress, or just a wild animal. But Mark knew what he experienced was real. Those eyes in the dark, the footsteps, the overwhelming sense of dread. It was something he would never forget. He now lives in a city far away from any forest and still has nightmares about those glowing eyes staring at him from the darkness. He always says, "The forest remembers." And some places are best left alone. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. So, what do you think? Have you ever experienced something similar in the woods or any other remote place? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more tales of the unexplained, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Until next time, keep your eyes open and remember, not all shadows are empty.